Well guys, it has been a very long wait for Avengers Infinity War. Many years. They've been 3 phases of Marvel movies leading up to this, so you damn well better hope that it's worth the wait, and yes, it is. It is absolutely worth the wait. And I don't mean that in just the usual kind of, hey, it was a great Marvel movie kind of way, because all their movies are kind of great. But this one's special. This one's special, it really is. And because there's so much in this movie, I can't really explain why it's great without going into spoilers, so I'm not going to go into spoilers. This is just going to be a surface level discussion because I don't want to spoil anything for you. I'll do the spoiler review probably after the weekend, because during the weekend is when most people are going to watch it. But yes, this one is special. The reaction from my audience at the end of the movie was just kind of like stunned silence. It was really odd, but it was like stunned silence in a good way. As is the case whenever we have an Avengers movie, because there's so many different characters that have to balance them, and once again, they do a fantastic job at balancing all of the different characters. There are some, naturally, who tend to spend more time on screen than others, like specifically Thor, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Stark. There were moments, like especially with the Guardians of the Galaxy, where I thought I actually was watching a sequel to that, but then there are other moments where I was like, oh, is this a follow-up to Black Panther? But despite the fact that it feels like there's 3 or 4 different movies happening all at the same time, and we're bouncing around all over the universe, it doesn't feel disconnected. It doesn't get you confused. You know what's going on at all times. There's still that fair share of like comedy that we all love from Marvel, but the movie's got this vibe to it of just real seriousness, but without losing that fun at the same time. And that's a very difficult mixture to have, but they pull it off. And we all know the 2 big criticisms of Marvel is always the villains suck and there's no real lasting stakes in any movies. Like usually whatever, even sometimes when we get stuff that does drastically change the layout of the universe, like Winter Soldier, they just change it back again in the next movie anyway. Within the first 5 minutes of this film, both of those criticisms are addressed pretty much immediately, and one of them's addressed very directly. Kind of like, again, I won't give any spoilers, but it's a little bit like that moment in The Last Jedi where Snoke is talking crap to Kylo Ren about, you got beaten by a girl who never even held a lightsaber before. And that's a direct, they put that in there directly because of all the criticism of people like me. Well, there's a similar line like that at the beginning of this movie towards one of the common criticisms about Marvel. So right off the bat, this one is a game changer. This one is breaking the rules, and it's fantastic because if you're ever gonna have a game-changing movie and break the rules, it's going to be in a movie like this, that we've had 3 phases worth of Marvel movies leading up to, an entire universe being built, and it's just amazing. I'm sure I'm not the only one who sings the praises of the character of Thanos. He is such an intriguing villain. He's such an interesting villain because, as Jeremy Jans put it, no villain ever thinks of themselves as villains. Villains always think of themselves as heroes. And similarly here with Thanos, you can actually see the cold logic underneath what he's doing, and he is in a sense right, but while he has that cold-hearted, pragmatic, sociopathic plan, at the same time he has real emotions. He's not just the villain who's just evil all the time and just wants to rule everything and he's not that villain at all. And as we all know, it's no spoiler, we all know this is all about him. This movie is about him gathering together the Infinity Gems, and the movie handles that right as well, in that once he's got these gems, he uses them. And I quite like that throughout the movie, even though he's got this huge armada, this space force at his disposal, and presumably millions of soldiers, once he starts getting those gems, he doesn't really, he doesn't hide behind his armies, because why would you? Why would you need to? So it was very well thought out in that essence. There are a few little things I can nitpick, but I'd have to wait until the spoiler section towards getting to that. Highly recommend you go out and see this. It's well worth your money. I would say though, one thing I would say is there are a few moments in this that for small children could be a little bit scary, but mind you, there was still a ton of kids in the theater that I was, and I didn't hear any of them shriek at some of the more scary moments. But if you just have a particularly sensitive kid, you might want to just maybe see it yourself first to just screen it. And if I were to give it a score, I would give it 5 Infinity Gauntlets out of 5. I'd give it a perfect score. Now, is it a perfect movie? Of course not. There's a few little story threads that don't get tied up at the end, but I'm assuming they're going to get tied up in the second part, the Infinity Wars Part 2 or whatever they're doing, or in future movies it'll get dealt with. So that's forgivable to me. And some of the other criticisms that I had with certain characters of how they were dealt was not so much a fault with the movie, it was just my personal taste. So it wouldn't be right for me to affect the score based off that. So yeah, I give us the highest rating that I could and strongly recommend you guys see it.